Alexander Povetkin says he has no problem having a rumble with Anthony Joshua. Well, he's going to have to rumble with Joshua to win the fight, right? Because boxing at long range against a guy who's 6'6", although Povetkin can box at long range, he's not bad at long range at all. But you would have thought that if Joshua decides to stick behind his jab and try and keep it long, that he's going to have the advantage there, using his height and reach. And all I've seen of Joshua over the past few weeks and months when it comes to his training is him working on mobility. He appears to have shed weight. I mean, he was pretty light in the Parker fight and he still looks pretty light now. So he appears to have shed some weight, some muscle in order to be more mobile. He's working on his balance and his movement, getting shots off and then moving away. So at long range, you would think Anthony Joshua has the advantage. So yeah, Povetkin needs to turn it into a brawl. He needs to turn it into a rumble. Maybe AJ will oblige him. We'll see, because there's a lot of pressure on AJ to produce a spectacular knockout here, to reaffirm his position as the #1 heavyweight in the division at the moment. We can't say that he's the best because he hasn't fought Tyson Fury and he hasn't fought Deontay Wilder, just as Fury and Wilder can't legitimately claim to be the best because they need to square it off with Joshua to find out who really is the best. But in terms of the fighter who holds the most belts, in terms of the fighter who has the strongest resume, that's still Anthony Joshua. Okay, but he needs a dominant and convincing and probably spectacular performance against Alexander Povetkin to make sure that the fans believe he's #1, that the fans believe he's the premier heavyweight in the division. That's what he needs, because as I say, I've noticed a little bit of discontent with Anthony Joshua when it comes to the general public during his last 2 fights. There were minglings of boos following his win over Takam. Remember, this was before the whole Deontay Wilder issue. So I don't think any potential loss of popularity for Joshua has anything to do with Deontay Wilder in the UK. In America, yeah, but in the UK, not. In the UK, I think a potential loss of popularity with Joshua could be down to his performances not delivering the excitement that people have become accustomed to during AJ's rise to the top. You know, these highlight reel knockouts and all this kind of business. Against Takam, it was a decent enough fight, but it wasn't a highlight reel knockout and it was a premature stoppage, which the crowd were not happy about. And again, you go watch the fight, the post-fight interview, and you'll hear minglings of boos in there, even when Joshua was talking. And Joshua kind of tries his best to win the crowd over again during that post-fight interview. And then the Parker fight was a stinker. And there were loads of casual fans, you know, people I know, who said, oh, that Joshua fight was terrible. So he's under pressure from the fans, the people who put Joshua in that position in the first place, as a household name in the UK, as a superstar. The people who have enabled Joshua to get these enormous paydays that he's been enjoying. Those people are now demanding that Joshua deliver them excitement again. And that's where the real pressure is coming from. Not from Deontay Wilder and Fury. I don't think the real pressure for Joshua's performance is coming from those guys. You know, Joshua, if he didn't have the pressure from the fans, I'm sure he would box Povetkin in a safety-first fashion. Because he just wants to try and get to the unification against the winner of Wilder against Fury. He boxed safe against Joseph Parker, in his own words, because he wanted the unification with Wilder. That's why he boxed safe. So the pressure is not coming. The pressure to excite and take risks against Povetkin is not coming from Fury or Wilder or any of their fans. It's coming from Joshua's own fans. As you saw from the reaction that there was for his last 2 fights. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Will Joshua be able to deal with Povetkin in good fashion? Will he end up getting dropped? Will he have a hard time? Will he lose the fight? I don't think a Povetkin victory is far-fetched at all. No, if Povetkin chinned Anthony Joshua, I wouldn't be shocked. I'm expecting Joshua to win, but by no means do I look at this as a foregone conclusion. Not at all. In terms of the style that Joshua's going to fight. As I say, I think he's going to keep it long. And we'll see if Anthony Joshua decides to tie Povetkin up in this fight. I suspect we might see Joshua using some clinching, because he would have looked at the Klitschko fight and he will take something from that, I'm sure. And just lastly, Povetkin is talking about the knockdown he suffered against David Price here. He says, I can't say that this knockdown hurt me too much, but after that I watched the moments, what I did wrong in that exact moment. That was just a small mistake that I will try not to do in the fight with Joshua. In general, I'm satisfied with my performance. Of course, I made a mistake, but I win. The key is a moment. I just want to say again, I really love how people react for boxing. Of course, they support the British guy, but at the same time, they love beautiful and quality boxing. So he's talking about the David Price knockdown there. And I have to agree with him. I don't think he was hurt by the David Price knockdown. I don't think he was that bothered by it. I think the knockdown looked far worse than it was. Because if you notice, Povetkin was throwing a right hand and he was committed to a right hand. So he was almost off balance when the shot was going all the way through. He was off balance when he got hit with the hook. You know, well, let me not say he was off balance, but his balance was getting hit from the left side when you're throwing your own right hand. You're vulnerable to being knocked off balance quite easily in that position. That's what I'll say. Okay, let me not say he was off balance, but you're vulnerable when you're fully committed to a right hand and someone hits you with a hook at that moment. The way your feet are, the way your body weight is displaced, it's easy to get knocked off balance in that situation. And to me, that's what it was with David Price. I don't think Povetkin was nearly knocked out or anything like that. I don't think the left hook really hurt him. I just think he was knocked off balance and he reeled back into the ropes. If he was really hurt, he wouldn't have reeled back across the ring like that. If he was really hurt, he would have, been flat on his back. The fact that he reeled back all the way until the corner shows that he still had enough balance in him to fight against falling down. If that makes sense, because he reeled back on his feet quite a long way until he hit the corner. So I understand why they called it a knockdown, because if the corner wasn't there, then he might have gone down. Let's say they were in a 50-foot ring. Would Povetkin have fallen over or not? He might have been able to stay on his feet, potentially. But either way, I don't think he was particularly hurt by that knockdown. And I said so at the time. I didn't think Povetkin was really hurt by the shot. So I think this is a dangerous fight for Joshua. And it's a fight which I would not be shocked if a upset occurred in. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out.